Right, shut the fuck up. I'll explain in further detail and clarify as well. First off, you're wrong, you're weak, and fatherless with 2 lesbian dads. But before we get into anything, let's go for the annoying part. Yippee!
You can't escape me!
Ko-Fi, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. $5 each for every platform to keep it consistent and for you to have the option to support me whatever you like. I'll use your name as the end credits and to say thank you for your support. And I'm out of jokes, so for this is the end of the advertisement, and let's get back to the video. So the 3rd edition Codex of the Guardsmen and the chapter approved. Now, to a certain extent, these are valid arguments, but in the wrong conclusions. Okay, let's look at this image, and there's only 1 female regiment out of how many guard regiments? 36 more or less regiments that are men conscripted only, plus art stories in the codex. And as valid as it is when it comes to 3rd edition in isolation. But I'm surprised nobody has mentioned about the 5th edition either. So, oh yeah, let's pretend to ignore that or anything. No, oh yeah, let's focus on 3rd edition only, because that's older than the 5th edition. Because I could also make the assumption that, okay, they used to be in 3rd edition, but afterwards, maybe in 5th edition, they just forgot about them and became the male-dominant thing. That's just how, the market was back then. The reason I didn't bother putting it in the video, not because it exists or it will disprove my point, it is because, first off, it is vague. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's another mention of the planet, and the female guard regiment might be just a one-time thing, and then it got annihilated. So they're never being mentioned again in later codexes. So because there isn't another reference or another evidence to show that they're a thing, it's really hard for me to say, yeah, they're the thing. And not only that, the problem with this is because people will pick the tiniest excuses for their bias and blanket that to the rest of the guard like it's the norm. Well, you see, there's this female guard regiment there, so that means female guard can be in any type of regiment guard. No, you fucking idiot! Another example is World War II Soviet Union, which they always talk about that one female tanker, or squad of pilots, or a squad of snipers that did a really good job, while ignoring millions of men who fought in the front lines. Yeah, no, but let's ignore all that and pretend that these women are the standard and the norm to be in the army. You fucking dumbass. Okay, even though with the chapter approved, they have a squad of some women, but compared to what? Gigazillion guardsmen and regiments that are mainly male-dominant regiments? Let's look at Katia. 0 women. Katachan, 0 women. Vostroyansk, 0 women. And more, 0 fucking women. There is 0 women in these guard regiments. The problem is that people will use these images and use that as the norm, which it ain't the norm. Get your Funko Pop out of your ass and your head out of the sand that these are not normal shit. See, the problem is people desperately want women to be in the army like it's a normal thing for fetish reasons, or they're just outright simps and they want to be dominated and get their balls crushed by their fucking boot. There's men who play Sisters of Battle for a reason. So they will excuse whatever it is, even though I've showed multiple times in the codex itself, but I know they won't listen, they won't make excuses. Oh, you're just nitpicking, oh, you're just being a hater and all that, because they got Funko Pop Valorant conditions in their fucking ears. So I've seen a lot of comments where they talk about oh, if they could just pick up a gun, they could just shoot, then that's just fine. Even though I've already explained that already. Okay, so, okay, here we go again. So there's a difference when you get no reinforcements and you're on a planet stranded and there's an enemy coming for the inevitable doom on your planet. So what do? You grab anyone to conscript that can have a weapon and just shoot at them. And that is a specific scenario where you just get anyone that can shoot a weapon, and if you can walk and shoot, that's fine. Just go and shoot something. It is because, 1, they're on the home planet, but 2, well, we ain't going anywhere else, so might as well fight to the death as a last stand. But it seems like people are mixing that scenario, and then with 40k being a nihilistic thinking mentality. So oh yeah, 40k doesn't really matter, and sex doesn't really matter, nothing matters at all, so might as well just throw all the women and men in the front lines and what it is. So all that shit, right? So they just mix those 2 things together, thinking that that is the norm. The one thing is, okay, we're just gonna grab anyone that we can to defend our home planet, and hopefully we can survive this last stand. Compared to, oh yeah, I'm just a female going in the Imperial Guard, and then they pretend like this is an everyday thing. No, he fucking isn't. There's a difference between desperation and having ordinary troops at your disposal with reinforcements and support. And I've already explained how 40k ain't nihilistic multiple times. It ain't fucking nihilistic. And things matter. well, women are doing well in the army because I've served this and that and that. I've seen good amount of cop videos in stressful situation, and I'm not buying it. And I'm gonna tell you, that ain't gonna work for them in the army. Because if they were sent to the front lines, they will fucking snap real quick. And why is that? Well, women are more emotional, and they'll either go straight tits up and escalate a situation real quick, or they're just gonna panic and cry, so there's that. Women like to participate in something, but they don't want to put the effort. Like, for example, oh yeah, I'm in the guard, it's very nice, but when they actually go and do what they're supposed to do, man, they're gonna just break down immediately. Plus, for some reason, barracks bonding still exists in the fucking army. At this point, get rid of them. Get rid of them. Out of it. Disgusting. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. If they're not serving what the military is supposed to be, why the fuck are they even there? Get rid of them. Now, let's get to the main meat of things. The double standard of 40k fans. And there are some 40k fans that are saying, well, I'm fine with the female guardsmen or female inquisitors or whatever it is, whatever they say in the comments. But femstodes and female space marines, nah, I don't like that because genetically enhanced, whatever it is, technological advancements, like GW even cares whatever the fuck the lore is, 40k is not canon. So, first off, simp. Second, stupid. Either you have a standard or not. You fucking hypocrite. And I'll be honest, I agree when it comes to Bricky to a certain extent. When it comes to his female custodian video, where he just shrugs it off and saying, well, female existed before, we had female god, inquisitors, psychers, this is the battle, and etc. But now we're just drawing this line of set in the sand for femstodes, and plus, he doesn't really care, so fair enough. But he's a simp! Because it's like this. If it's allowed to become a norm in some areas of some factions, then it's allowed to be in the femstodes, then it's allowed to be allowed in the female space marine. You get what you allowed, and you deserve it. So you either don't accept the female god as the norm, which translates to no female custodies or no female space marines. Or you accept the female god, which you will be fine with femstodes and female space marines. There is no, oh, we're gonna accept some of them over here and not accept them over there, and some over there, oh yeah, maybe not, we're not accept them over there. Because what happens is, you're just making so many different lines, which in the end is just arbitrary, and there is no set standard. How about no women in the guard as the norm, and no femstodes and no female space marines? I think that is quite a simple line and a simple standard than having this ADHD mentality ill people with zero in real life experience with anxiety driven to the roof. Then again, unfortunately, femstodes is actually a thing because GW made it, so suck shit. So, conclusion. It doesn't disprove my point that there are zero women in different guard regiments or in the guard in general, because it is not the norm that people try to portray. 3rd edition and chapter approved was the exception, not the rule, compared to other regiments as well. Cadians, Catachans, and more regiments that are male dominant that have zero women. And that is being shown from short stories after short story and every single artwork. So in the end, as I said before, in the guard there should be zero women, period, because it's about guards men, not guards men and women. Unless we talk about the 9th edition codex, different story. Fine, whatever. That is a different topic at that point, because they changed this whole foundation of how the god works. Remember, just like the last video, I'm talking about only the codexes of 3rd and 5th edition of the Imperial Guard. No novels, no Space Marine, no whatever exists outside of the codexes, because as I said before, these are the ground foundations of how a faction works. That's why I've just narrowly just go straight to the topic, because I don't want to hear about fucking whataboutisms. What about this novel? What about that novel? What about that novel? Dude, there's so many fucking authors that just pull the 40k narration left, right, up, down, fucked sideways, and upside down to the point that it becomes so unreliable that nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. So why not just go straight to the root of things, which are the 3rd and the 5th edition codex, which is the Imperial Guard. But then again, I get fucking dumbass comments still talking about novels. They don't listen! They don't listen! The Funko Pop vowel recognition is too strong for the ears. And as I said before at the end of my previous video, The only time you will see them, at the very least being in the front lines and carrying a gun, is when the threat is coming to their home planet and it's their last stand that might get devoured by Tyranids or Orcs or any threat that will come to them. And that is all for this video. You can check me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. Feel free to support my channel in any way, and I will say thank you for your support. Now, if you want any updates, you can check me on Discord or YouTube's community page for any updates. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye, my brothers, and take care.
Rise up in the morning.